am doing an exciting video. I am doing my Disneyland Paris planning video. So I did a poll on Twitter of 4 different videos that I'm going to film and which ones you wanted to see most, and this was number 2. So I'm filming it for you guys today and I hope you enjoy. Also, I'm not wearing lipstick today. I normally wear lipstick in like every single video I film, but I just couldn't really be bothered to wear it today. I feel like I'm going to be talking a lot, and when you have lipstick on and you talk a lot, it might get everywhere and I just can't be bothered. Hope you guys don't mind. So I have already tried to film this video once the other day and oh my goodness, I just couldn't get my words out. I felt like I was just going on about little things, and I want this video to be detailed and pretty long, but I don't want it to be exceptionally long because you guys won't want to watch a video that's too long. But I do want to make it as detailed as possible, so I thought, you know what, I'll just stop and I'll try and do it a different day. So I'm going to try and do it today. But I will actually get into it now, or we will just be here forever doing the intro. So I have made a plan of what I'm going to say, so hopefully I won't go too much off topic. But there are a couple of things I was thinking about when I was planning this video, and they are dining. I will be mentioning dining in restaurants and places to eat in Disney throughout this video, and I could talk about it a lot more, so I was wondering if you wanted a dining in Disneyland Paris video, because I have been to Disney 3 times in the past 12 months and every time I've gone on a different dining plan. So the first time I went with no dining plan at all. Second time I went with full board. Then the third time I went with half board. So I have an experience of all different dining plans, and also I've been in a big percentage of the restaurants that are there. So I thought I could do a separate video all about dining and dining plans if you wanted to see that, to save me talking about it extensively in this video because it might get just too long and rambly. Also, I have my window open because it's really hot in here, so sorry if you can hear like anything going on outside. So yeah, let me know if you want a dining in Disney video because I will happily do that. Right now, I genuinely am gonna get into the planning part of the video. So like I said, I have been to Disney 3 times in the past 12 months and every time I have planned it. And some people say that you can't plan it because it's a lot smaller than somewhere like Disney World, which I know a lot of people plan down to the very last moment. But I think you can plan Paris, and I feel like I have done that every time I've been and I've stuck to it, and I got pretty much every single thing done on all of those trips. So this video is for trips that are maybe 3 days or more. If you're going for 2 days or even 1 day, I would recommend that you just try and do both parks. So if you're going for 2 days, just get your favourite things done that you think look the best in both parks. Go to one part one day, the other part the other day, and do the things that you think look good. There is the Disneyland park and then the Walt Disney Studios park, so get both of those done. And if you're going for 1 day, I just wouldn't miss the fireworks or the parade. Everything else, just do what you think looks like the most fun. I would still advise watching this video because I'm sure there will be a lot of tips you can take from it, but this video is more for planning a trip that's 3 days or more. Personally, if you haven't booked your trip yet and you'd like some advice on how long to go for, I would suggest going for 5 days. So you travel on your first day, you have 3 full days in the park, and then you travel home on the last day. So you'll have like 2 half days and 3 full days. I personally think that's a perfect amount of time to spend in Disneyland Paris because you'll get pretty much everything done. You won't be there for too long, but you also won't be there for too little, so you won't miss anything. But it does depend on the time of year that you go, the weather. So first things first, it depends what hotel you're staying in. So if you're staying in the Santa Fe, the Cheyenne, the Sequoia Lodge, the Newport Bay, the Hotel New York, or the Disneyland Hotel, you will get extra magic hours. If you're staying somewhere else, then you will not get extra magic hours and the park will open to you at 10 AM. If this is the case and you are not interested in anything I have to say about extra magic hours because you don't have them, then I will leave a timestamp on the screen here of when to skip to when I start talking about what to do after 10 AM. First of all, get to the park at 8 AM, so you will get to take advantage of some stuff that is open before anybody else gets to go in. Obviously in the summer months, the park can be open until 11 at night, so getting up at 7 AM to get there for 8 and then not leaving until 11 can be very, very tiring, and you may not want to do this every day, but I would definitely recommend doing it at least once or twice because there is definitely some great things that you can do in extra magic hours that you wouldn't really be able to do it as easily in the rest of the day. So get there at 8, and the first thing I would advise you do between 8 and 9 is obviously have breakfast. If you didn't already have it in your hotel, then there are loads of places that offer breakfast. If you are doing the half board or the full board plan and you have the vouchers for having breakfast in the park, you will have to eat it at Cafe Hyperion in Discoveryland. But I will go into more detail about that in the dining video if I do one. So have your breakfast, and then another thing I suggest you do between 8 and 9 is meet some characters if you would like to. So if you want to meet Mickey, Minnie, Donald, Goofy, Pluto or Chip and Dale, I would recommend you doing this in magic hours because the queues are a lot smaller. If you want to meet Minnie and Mickey together, this is also the only opportunity you're really going to be able to have to do that. You might not be able to do it, it's not always possible, but occasionally, and definitely at least once on every trip I've been in, Mickey joins Minnie in her little corner in the town square for her meet and greet between 8 and 10, and then he leaves at 10 and it's just Minnie for the rest of the day. But generally Mickey will join her and you'll be able to meet both of them, and it's really cute. They're great to meet together, especially if you are a couple, because obviously one of you could be with Mickey and one of you could be with Minnie, and it makes for a really cute photo. And I just definitely recommend you doing this because it's the only time in the day you'll really get to, unless they come out together, but most of the time you won't be able to actually have a picture with them together. You can at Halloween and at different times of the year, but yeah, definitely recommend doing that at magic hours. Also, Donald, Goofy, Pluto, Chip and Dale, they'll all be there generally every morning during magic hours, and they tend to be in the same spots that they're going to be for the rest of the day. So Goofy and Donald especially will likely be in the same spot that they're going to be in on the programme starting at 10, if that makes sense. So just go straight to that area and there will likely be them or someone else meeting there. Chip and Dale, however, generally meet by the bandstand or in front of the castle, so on your walk into the park you'll probably see them. Anyway, I would definitely recommend you meeting one of those characters at that time because the queues are a lot shorter and you'll be waiting like 20 minutes to an hour at most, rather than 2 hours or more. So yeah, breakfast and meeting at least one of the main characters in the morning between 8 and 9 is what I would recommend you to do. Just as a little disclaimer, this video is going to be a planning video of how to get every single thing in both parks done within your trip, and my advice on the best way to go about that. Sorry if I mention things in this video that you're not interested in, like if you are not interested in meeting princesses at all, or you're not interested in going on roller coasters or anything like that. This video is going to be a video about how to do both of those and everything else there is to do. So yeah. So it is now at 9 AM, you've met a character, you've had your breakfast. My advice now would be to go and queue for the Princess Pavilion. This is like a little princess themed building at the back of Fantasyland. All the places and areas of both parks that I mentioned will be on the maps, which you can get at the entrances to the park. So if you are thinking, what is she talking about? Fantasyland, Adventureland, where are these places? They will all be on the map. But yeah, so right at the back of Fantasyland there is the Princess Pavilion, and the princesses meet there throughout the day. There'll be 2 princesses that you can meet. There'll be one in the morning and one in the afternoon, and there will be a sign outside saying which princess is going to be there at which time. So that's really helpful. So if you don't want to meet a certain princess, you can go and have a look who it is and queue depending on whether you want to meet them. But I would definitely recommend you doing this at 9. So if you get in the queue at 9, the pavilion opens at 10. So you will be queuing for an hour, but that is a lot less time than you will queue in the day, and also you'll get it out of the way by 10:15, and you can get on with your day then. Whereas if you get there in the middle of the day, you'll be waiting 2 to 3 hours just to meet one princess, which I don't think is as worth it as an hour in the morning. If you get there between 9 and 9:30, you're probably going to be fine. If you get there closer to 9:30, you're probably going to be likely waiting until more like 11 rather than 15:15 to 10:30, but it's still better than if you go in the middle of the day. So I would definitely recommend getting there at 9, and if you can't, get there at least before 9:30. Anyway, so yeah, you've met a princess. It's probably going to be somewhere between 10 and 10:30 now. My recommendation would be going straight to Frontierland to get your fast pass for Big Thunder Mountain. If you don't know what fast passes are, they are completely free and you are allowed to hold 1 fast pass at a time according to your ticket. So obviously you'll have your park ticket that gets you into the park every day. All you have to do is present that ticket at the fast pass stations, which are at a bunch of the rides in Disney. There is a list of the rides that have fast pass systems on the Disneyland Paris website, so feel free to check that out if you are curious. When you get to the ride, the fast pass section is signposted and everything. You'll be able to see it straight away. You won't miss it. And if you're unsure how to use them, then there are always cast members around helping you. So yeah, when you finish meeting the princesses around 10, 10:30, I would definitely recommend getting your fast pass for Big Thunder Mountain, especially if you are going in the winter when the park closes earlier, because the fast passes are run out within a few hours. And if you want to ride that ride and you're not prepared to wait in the 2-hour queue, which it generally tends to be, fast passes are definitely for you. I have never waited in the Big Thunder Mountain queue, and I don't intend to. It is ridiculous. But I would definitely recommend you going on that ride. It is probably my favourite ride in the entirety of Disneyland Paris. It is so much fun. So it is now sometime around 10:30. You've met a character, you've met a princess, you've had your breakfast, and you've got your Big Thunder Mountain fast pass. Depending on when your fast pass is, I would recommend you stay in Frontierland. So if your fast pass is sometime around lunchtime, I would recommend you stay in Frontierland and get Frontierland done. So like I said before, if you want a rundown of the different sections of the different parks and what rides are in them, which rides I would recommend you definitely do not miss, then I will make that video. But if you want to know what rides are in Frontierland, then give the website a little look over because they are all on there. But I would recommend you get everything in Frontierland done while you are waiting around for your fast pass, save you walking to other places. Also in Frontierland there is the Chaparral Theatre, which houses the Frozen Sing-Along and also the Forest of Enchantment. Each of them are on at different times of the year, so Forest of Enchantment tends to be on in the more summertime, and then the Frozen Sing-Along tends to be on throughout the winter. So whichever time of year you are going, one of those shows will be on. I would pick a time that you're going to go see that. If you have a Thunder Mountain fast pass in the late morning, then I would suggest you go and see a show at the Chaparral Theatre around this time too, and kind of just match up the show with the fast pass, do everything else in Frontierland around them, and then you'll have the entirety of Frontierland done by late afternoon. Also, if you are going to be there during lunchtime, there are plenty of lovely restaurants in Frontierland, including the Lucky Nugget Saloon, which I've not been in but I've heard it's amazing, and also Cowboy Cookout, which I have been in and I love. So there's plenty of places to eat there. Again, I will do a dining video if you'd like that, but Frontierland is great and I would get that done all in that morning. So it's now early to late afternoon, depending on how long it took you to do Frontierland. I would now recommend you go to one of the other lands. However, if it is approaching the 5 o'clock, 5:30 mark, I would now recommend you wait for the parade. Again, depending on how busy it is when you go, what season it is. So I would definitely recommend getting to the parade route earlier, and if you want to get there later, I would recommend trying to get a place at the beginning in Fantasyland of where the parade starts, because there's always a lot more room and a lot more chance of getting a place. Main Street will be pretty full if you get there like 5 minutes before, especially in like July. It will be rammed. But definitely don't miss the parade. The parades at Disney are awesome. There will be different ones when you go. So if you go at Christmas or Halloween or spring, or different times of the year where they have different events going on, there may be other parades throughout the day, in which case check your program and definitely see those too. So it is now the early evening. You've watched the parade, you've had your dinner, you've done Frontierland. Unless you've already gone into another land because you finished Frontierland a lot earlier than 5, then that's cool, go and continue with that land. So we will say that you are now going to Adventureland. Adventureland is a great one to do in the middle of the day when the park is at its busiest, because there aren't that many rides in there, so there's a lot of stuff you can do in there that don't require queuing. A good time to do that would be in the day when the queues are going to be at their busiest. There are 2 rides. There are the Indiana Jones ride and Pirates. Both of these do have pretty big queues because one's a roller coaster, and obviously Pirates of the Caribbean is a Pirates of the Caribbean ride, which is obviously a really popular film. But yeah, both of those will be very busy, but obviously there's only 2 of them, so if you want to wait in queues you can do. But I am pretty sure Indiana Jones does have a fast pass option, and every time I've been on Pirates there's been a pretty big queue, but it's not been too bad. It's been less than an hour, probably more like half an hour to 40 minutes, which really isn't that bad, and it's definitely worth it anyway because it's such a good ride. But yeah, other than that, everything else in Adventureland doesn't have a queue. If you want to know specifically what I'm talking about, give the website a look over, but there are things like the Robinson Crusoe treehouse that you can go and explore, and the caves, and the rope bridges, and the pirate ship, and all that sort of stuff. It's just stuff that you can kind of look around and explore, and it's really fun, and yeah, definitely something I would personally do in the middle of the day. Also, Aladdin's Passage is there as well, which personally I don't really think is that exciting, but it is something you could do in the middle of the day if there's queues everywhere else. And if you haven't eaten yet and you're going to eat while you're exploring Adventureland, there are plenty of places you can eat. There's Agrabah Cafe, Hakuna Matata, and the new Captain Jack restaurant that's been refurbished. It used to be the Blue Lagoon. And yeah, just plenty of really nice restaurants that you can eat at. Some of you may be wondering why I haven't mentioned characters yet. I am personally going through what I would do if I had 3 days in the park. So on my first day, I would personally only meet someone in Magic Hours and a princess, because the rest of the day I would want to start exploring the different lands. So don't worry, I will get to that on day 2. So the next part of the day obviously depends on when the park closes for the time of year that you're going. So if you're going in the summer, the park will not close to 11, so you should be able to still go and explore another land. But if you are going in the winter when the park closes at 8, I think it was, it closed at 8 when I went in February, then it might now be time for Illuminations. Illuminations is the new projection and fireworks show that they have on the castle at closing time. You have to go see this, like there is no way you can miss this. It is amazing. So hopefully you have got meeting a character in the morning, meeting a princess, Frontierland, Adventureland, Frontierland including Big Thunder Mountain, the parade and Illuminations all done in your first day. If the park is open until 11 when you go, then go ahead and do a different land as well. I would definitely recommend doing Discoveryland at night time because it's so cool at night, especially the ride Autopia, which is the ride where you drive cars around. It is so fun at night time, and if you are going to do Discoveryland at night, definitely do that ride. It's worth the queue time. It can get up to an hour and a half the queue time, which I wouldn't say wait in that, but it's always going to be around 40 minutes, so I would just wait in it. It's totally worth it. It's really fun. But I will talk more about Discoveryland in my day 2. So it is now day 2. Again, if you have extra magic hours, I would do exactly the same thing that I did in day 1, but I would meet a different character and hopefully a different princess. I did kind of forget to mention what I would personally do if the princess that was meeting wasn't somebody I wanted to meet. In this case, I would personally go to the Meet Mickey Mouse Pavilion or the Darth Vader meet and greet at Starport, I think it is. I forgot to mention that Fantasyland and Discoveryland are the only lands that are open before 10. So between 8 and 10 you do not have access to Adventureland or Frontierland, but everywhere else will be open. Maybe not all the rides, but the areas will be, and the majority of the rides are. So yeah, second day, you have had your breakfast, you have met a character, and you have now met Mickey, a princess, or Darth Vader, and it is coming on around 10:30. My personal recommendation would now be to go to the Studios park. The Studios does open at 10, and there is one ride in the Studios which has a ginormous queue and no fast pass, and that is Crush's Coaster. If you would like to prioritise that ride over princesses or Darth Vader or Mickey, I would try and get to the park for when it opens so that you can go straight on that ride when the park opens at 10. Then you'll probably get the least queue that you would any other day. This is what me and Luke done when we went, and we waited for around 35 minutes. It's the least amount of time I've ever waited, but personally when I went in October with my friend and also in July with my family, we waited for around an hour, but it really wasn't too bad. It is really worth it for at least once on the trip. So yeah, Crush's Coaster is a difficult one to plan. You're gonna have to wait a long time. There's no getting around it, unless maybe you do single rider, but even the single rider queue only tends to be 5 or 10 minutes less than the main queue, so you're still gonna be waiting in that for like 50 minutes. You may as well wait the extra 10 and be together. So yeah, that's a difficult one, but I would recommend doing that when you get there at 10. You could do this on your last day. Obviously I'm planning for 3 days, and the Crush's Coaster at 10 doesn't really come into my plan, but on the 4th day, on your day of going home, if you are going for 5 days, then you could always do that at 10. But if not, I personally would just wait for that in the middle of the day because it is worth it. Anyway, what I personally would do at 10:30 when I get to the park after I've done everything in the main park would queue for Buzz but get a Ratatouille Fast Pass at the same time. If by chance you are going alone, then go get your Ratatouille Fast Pass and then come and queue for Buzz. However, if you were in a pair or more, one of you can queue for Buzz and the others can go and get the Fast Passes. All you need is the park tickets. You don't need to be present or anything, you just need a park ticket to get 1 fast pass. So if you personally take like 4 tickets, you'll be able to get 4 fast passes. I hope this video isn't getting too confusing, but I'm trying my best. Anyway, so there is a Buzz meet and greet in the Studios. It's on the map, it's on the programme, so you'll be able to see it. I think it comes under Disney characters though in the Toon Studio, but it generally tends to be Buzz Lightyear in the morning. So I have done this every single trip I've been on. I have queued for Buzz, gone and got a Ratatouille Fast Pass, waited for Buzz, met Buzz, and then gone straight to Ratatouille for my Fast Pass. I've done that on every trip I've been on and it's worked, so I would definitely recommend doing that. The queue for Ratatouille can get anything up to 2 hours. When I went like about 2 or 3 years ago with my family, we waited for Ratatouille at the end of our day in the Studios, and we waited for like 2 hours, and it was ridiculous. I will say that the queue for Ratatouille is really well themed, and it was cool to see it all, but still not worth the wait. I mean, the ride was worth the wait. It's hard, but I wouldn't wait for 2 hours for one ride if I was you. There are other ways to get around it, especially if it has a fast pass system. So now it is going to be around 11, half 11, and you have already done Ratatouille, met Buzz, possibly met a princess, and possibly met a character in the morning. Now I would do some rides. So similarly to what I said about Frontierland, plan your day around the shows and your fast passes. So if you want to ride Rock and Roller Coaster or Tower of Terror, then go get your fast pass for those now. You'll obviously only be able to get fast passes for one of those rides at a time, but go get those and then go and do some other stuff while you wait. The Studios is not as big as the main park, so it's easy to get around it quickly, and there are shortcuts and all sorts, so you don't have to worry about getting a fast pass for one ride on the other end and going to the other end of the park, if you know what I mean, because it's not a very far walk to both ends. So you don't have to worry about that. Go get a fast pass for one of the big rides that you want to ride, and then do some little rides. So there's the Cars ride, there's Toy Story Playland, there's the Studio Tram Tour, there's Stitch Live, there's Disney Junior Live if you are with children or you just like Disney Junior, there's Animagique, there's the Magic Carpets. There are all sorts of rides you can do that barely ever have a big queue. You'll be waiting the most of like half an hour for one of those rides, unless it is like high time, really freaking busy. Then it could be anything up to an hour, but generally you'll be waiting like half an hour at most for those little rides. But as well as basing it around your fast passes, also base it around shows. So for example, there is Mickey and the Magician, and all the show times for that are on the programme. It's not on all year round. I saw it in October when I went last year, and then I also saw it when I went in July, but when I went in February it wasn't on, so it's not on all the time. But if it is on, I definitely recommend seeing it. It's definitely at the top of the list of things to not miss. So base what you are doing around the time that you're going to see that as well. So I personally would follow this throughout the whole day. So I would use the fastpass system and plan the showings of the different things that I want to see. There are so many attractions timetabled on the programme that are out throughout the year, like there's Star Wars shows, there's an Incredibles show thing that they do at the moment, there's all sorts of things going on in the studios just around and about that will be on the programme. So plan your day around those. When you are not at a show or an attraction or a fast pass, go and do something else. Do a smaller ride. Do Stitch Live, because that's definitely something I would recommend doing. There's also the huge stunt show there, so plan your day around that too. But my recommendation would be all the way from after you've done Buzz and Ratatouille up until tea time, do everything you can. If you are going to stay there all day, you're obviously going to need some lunch. There are plenty of places to eat there. There are some really, really lovely places like Chez Remy in the Ratatouille area, but then there's also some much cheaper places like the counter service fast food restaurant in the entrance to the park where the like shops and everything are. You'll see on the map. So yeah, the studios tend to close about 7 o'clock. Sometimes of the year, like Season of the Force, or I'm pretty sure at Christmas there's going to be a Goofy show. There are projection shows on the Tower of Terror, similar to the Illumination show and Dreams in the main park. And they will be at closing time, so I would definitely recommend going to see those. In terms of meeting characters in the studios, obviously I've mentioned now like 3 times the Buzz meet and greet is definitely something you should do, and if you are not interested in Buzz Lightyear, you can also meet Mickey there as well, right next to him at the same time. In the afternoon, when I went in February with Luke, we did manage to meet Woody in the same place as well. So they had Buzz in the morning and then Woody in the afternoon. So you could always meet Woody. He will be on the timetable as well on the programme. It tends to say just Disney characters, but it will often be a Toy Story character because it has a Toy Story background. But there are other options for meeting characters. For example, Spider-Man. He is there all year round. He has his own little building where you can meet him, but I would definitely recommend meeting him. I have waited for 20 minutes, but then I've also waited for 40 minutes, so it depends on how busy it is, but he's never more than an hour. Something I did want to touch on quickly is the PHOTOPASS system. If you have any questions about PHOTOPASS, leave them in the comments and I will answer them, but with the PHOTOPASS system, I have been with and without it, and I can see pros and cons. When I went without it, I took absolutely loads of photos on my phone and I had some amazing photos. I had great ones of us with the characters, great ones of just the park in general, and I didn't really miss the PHOTOPASS system. And also I took quite a bit of money with me because I hadn't actually been to Disneyland Paris in a few years, so I was really excited and I took quite a bit of spending money. So I did buy 2 photos. I bought this one of me and my friend meeting Mickey and Minnie. This is when we went to Halloween. And I also bought this one of us meeting Jack Skellington. So you can buy the photos. They are very, very expensive, I will say that, just for a photo in a frame, but you can buy them. So there is the option of that if you don't want to get the PHOTOPASS. But at the same time, the PHOTOPASS is around €60, I think. And these cost like €20 each. So the PHOTOPASS system means that you will get every single photo taken on your rides by a professional photographer all around the entire park from the whole time you are there. So you could have as many photos as you want taken and they will all be there for €60. Rather than just coming home with 2 photos for €40. So obviously you can see why people do PHOTOPASS, but at the same time there aren't that many PHOTOPASS photographers. When I went in July, I was really excited because the majority of the meet and greets on the programme had little PHOTOPASS symbols next to them, so I knew I'd be able to use the PHOTOPASS system at those characters. We ended up going to those characters and there was no photographer there, so the programme lied. It's not a guarantee that there's going to be a photographer at every character, so you may have to just use your camera or your phone anyway. I don't know, I just don't really think it's that worth it because Every single character meet and greet will have a lovely cast member there. As long as you are polite and ask them nicely to take the photo for you, they will gladly take a photo of you and the character. And then your ride photos, if you live in the UK and you've ever been to a British theme park, the majority of them won't let you take a photo on your phone of your ride photo up on the screen. They'll be like, no, you have to buy it. Whereas in Disneyland Paris, you're allowed to take photos of your ride photo. So even though it might not be very good quality because you're taking a picture of a screen, you are allowed to do that. So it's up to you. I would say there are pros and cons of each. If you're trying to save money, you really don't need it. But if you just want to go all out and buy everything that will make your trip very memorable, then go for it. It's a difficult one. I could probably make a separate video about it, but I won't. I will just leave it at that. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. So, it is 7 p.m. We have done as much as we possibly could in the studios. We've had lunch, we've had dinner. We might have even watched a projection show if we went at the right time of year. I would now recommend doing Buffalo Bills. Buffalo Bills is quite difficult to describe, but it is basically a huge show that they have in Disney Village. I'm pretty sure it is only like Monday, Tuesday, and possibly a weekend day. I'm not too sure. But I know that it is only around 3 days a week and it's at 6:30 and 9:30 in the evening. So what it is a show where you have your dinner. I did say before you've had lunch and dinner, now I would go to Buffalo Bills. You're going to Buffalo Bills, don't have dinner because you have dinner at Buffalo Bills. I was a bit concerned about the animals to start with. Before I had ever gone to it, I was a bit like, I'm not sure if I feel comfortable with this. There's like animals, are they treating them properly? But I've heard they really look after them and they have proper farmers, and obviously they only do shows twice, 3 times a week because they don't want to work the animals too hard. So I have heard that they look after them pretty well, so that makes me feel a little bit better about it. I would recommend doing this at the 9:30 showing because then you'll get more time in the parks, and then you'll also get to go and do that from 9:30 until like 11:30. So it makes your day a lot longer, which I personally really love doing. I like to make the most of the time that I'm there because it's just the best place ever. So it is now day 3. Again, I would do the exact same thing with magic hours. Personally, I don't think there's much else you can do in magic hours other than meet characters and queue for things that normally have huge queues. So if there's a ride you want to go on in Fantasyland or in Discoveryland, then go queue for that now. Or meet a character in Main Street, like I said before, or meet a princess, or do one of those things. But things like Buzz or Peter Pan or some of the other rides in Discoveryland and Fantasyland will be a lot quieter than in the rest of the day. Some of them won't be open, like Small World, Autopia, and some other things, Star Wars, I think. The majority of them won't be open until closer to 10, like more like 9:30. But yeah, make the use of the time. Go on the rides that are open. Meet some characters. Do all that stuff. It's the best time to do it. So you've done all that, you've had your breakfast, it's now coming on to 11 o'clock, and my advice would be to do Fantasyland. A little piece of advice would be if you are going for 5 days, this is why I say to go for 5 days, because you will get more done. But my advice would be to do Fantasyland on the day you get there, so on the first day, your half travel day. Go straight to Fantasyland when you get there, you'll get a really good feel of Disneyland. It's really, really classic Disney, and they're all really cute, and there's so many photo opportunities, and it's a really nice place to be. So I would recommend you doing this on the day you get there if you are going for 5 days on your first travel day. But then if you didn't get to do that, then on your 3rd day, do that in the morning. So say you've met a princess, you come out and you're in Fantasyland, do all the rides that you would want to do. I would recommend doing all of them because they're all really great, but do not miss Peter Pan or Dumbo or Small World because they are amazing. There are also loads of lovely places to eat there. I love the Pinocchio restaurant and I also love Toad Hall. Again, I'm going to do a food video probably, but there's all sorts of places to eat, so if you want to have your lunch there as well, there's plenty of places to choose from. So something I forgot to mention that I said I was going to talk about before is meeting characters. I've obviously talked about the characters that you can meet in the studios. There are also opportunities to meet Captain Jack Sparrow and Moana at the moment in the studios. They do have huge queues, but my advice would be to get there an hour before the time on the programme states, and hopefully you'll be able to meet those characters. But they are extremely hard to meet, especially Moana. It is such an ordeal to try and meet Moana, I will tell you. But if you get there early enough, even get there more than an hour before, you will get in the queue and you will be able to meet Moana or Captain Jack. I actually didn't meet Captain Jack at the studios, I've just heard that the queues are really big. But yeah, meeting characters in the main park. Obviously I've talked about how to do it in the morning. I think it's really easy to meet characters in the morning compared to the rest of the day. But in the day, there are so many different characters that you can meet in all the different lands. I would recommend doing this on day 1 and 3. So I totally forgot to talk about it in day 1, but what I tell you now about day 3 definitely applies to day 1 as well, if you know what I mean. So I have a program here from when I went in July, and some of the character meet and greets that are available are, for example, Chip and Dale meet in Adventureland. I thought they met in Frontierland for some reason, but maybe I've just seen them there one time. But apparently they meet in Adventureland by Colonel Hassie's Pizza Outpost. So if you are not a huge rides person, when you go to Adventureland on day 1, if you do follow my plan, or whenever you go to Adventureland, instead of doing a ride, you could go and queue for Chip and Dale. I'm sure the queues won't be too massive, because a lot of people don't really read the program, and unless they are walking past and see them, they don't normally tend to queue. So the queues in the different lands, except for maybe Fantasyland, that's probably an exception, don't tend to be very big, because the most popular places are Main Street and Fantasyland. And that's where the majority of people are going to be, so they're going to see the meet and greets and go and join the queue because they've seen it. If you use the program, you'll be able to go and find meet and greets that aren't as popular and won't have as many people. So Chip and Dale in Adventureland is an example of that. You can meet Woody and Jessie in Frontierland if you want to. Like I said, I would advise doing Frontierland on day 1, but you can do it whenever you want, and Woody meets there in the morning at 11:15 usually, and then Jessie meets there at 2 PM in the evening. I have met Jessie twice at 2 PM in that space in Frontierland, and it was so easy. We got there literally 10 minutes before the time it says on the program, and we were the first in the queue both times, and we met her in no time at all, and she was awesome, and it was a really easy, fast meet and greet, and I would just use the program because not that many people do, you know. So there's also the Aladdin meet and greet in Adventureland, which I would obviously also do when you are in Adventureland if you do go on day 1 when I said, but whenever you're there, I would definitely do the Aladdin meet and greet. And then around the corner there's also a King Louis and Baloo meet and greet. My advice would be to pick the ones you really want to do and just do a couple every day, because if you try and do loads in one day, you'll be waiting in pretty big queues, and that'll be kind of what you're doing all day. And if you want a good mix, then maybe pick 2 you want to do one day, 2 the next, 2 the day after that, and that would probably work better. Anyway, yeah, so you can also meet Peter Pan in Adventureland and some other characters, and they are all on the program. So on day 1, when I said to go to Frontierland and Adventureland and do everything there, they are some of the other things that you can do. The meet and greets usually start around 11:15, but obviously this depends on when the characters want to come out or are available, so it might not be until maybe 12 or even 1, but if you get to the venue, there will be cast members there letting you know what is going on. And there are obviously also random meet and greets happening all the time. Random characters come out in random places all over both parks, and it is the best thing. When you see a random character come out, it is such a good feeling because you feel like you're in on a little secret. But a good Twitter that you can follow is ED92. I will link it in the description. They are a Twitter who tweet out whenever there are rare characters out. So if, for example, Stitch comes out in Discoveryland, which he does occasionally, he's never on the program, he does randomly just sometimes pop out. And if he does, ED92 will be tweeting about it, and they tweet about all the rare characters that just randomly pop out and that aren't on the program. So if you keep their Twitter notifications on when you are there, I can't get my words out, I'm talking too fast, then you will be able to run to the areas that they say that there are rare characters out. So if you are going purely to meet rare characters, that's a good thing to do. They are a great Twitter account. So back to Fantasyland on your day 3. There are also characters you can meet here too. There's always an Alice meet and greet. There is obviously the Mickey one and the Princess Pavilion. There are loads of meet and greets happening throughout Fantasyland. A great place to go is the parade entrance near Small World, because that's where a lot of rare characters come out for their meet and greet. So that's a great place to sit if you just want to chill somewhere. I know my friend Tana does that a lot. I personally love to meet characters, but I don't like to meet them any more than I do like to go on the rides or watch the shows. I like to do everything in the parks. But my friend Tana is definitely someone who knows everything about meeting characters, because that's pretty much what she does when she goes to Disney. So if you do have any questions about meeting characters, especially meeting rare characters, she is a great person to ask, so I will leave a link to her Twitter in the description. But like I said, there are plenty of characters to meet in Fantasyland too, and they will be on the program, or ED92 will probably be tweeting about them. So yeah, do Fantasyland. It's a great place. I love it there. It's so pretty and classic and magic. Then why not watch the parade again, unless you just wanted to see it once, and once you've seen it once you're happy and you want to do some other stuff, that's cool. but I would watch the parade again. It's so good. But then after you've done Fantasyland, if you possibly had lunch there and it's getting on and maybe it's coming up to tea time, I would now go to Discoveryland. Again, I've already mentioned doing Discoveryland in the evening is the best time to do it. It just all looks so pretty. There are plenty of rides to enjoy here. There is Buzz and Star Wars and Autopia and Hyperspace Mountain. Also, Cafe Hyperion is something that I personally just would not miss. I freaking love Cafe Hyperion. Some people say that they don't like it and the food's not good, but I think the food is great. I love their burgers. It's a Star Wars themed restaurant. It's huge. They have a stage and they have all sorts of shows happening on the stage. My brother actually took part in the Jedi Training Academy when I went in July, and it was so cool to see him in it. I remember when I went with my friend back in October last year, we were both kind of a little bit teary while we were watching it because it's so sweet seeing the little kids fighting Darth Vader and being Padawans and talking to the Jedis, and it's just so cute. If you've seen the show, you'll know what I mean, but it's on the program if you want to go and see it. But yeah, so there aren't really many characters you can meet there, but it is still an amazing place to visit. It's probably my favourite land, I won't lie. But I love like spacey stuff, so I think that's why it's my fave. So lastly, obviously, I've given you a rough plan of what to do for 3 full days in the park, but if you are going for 4 days, 2 travel days and 2 days in the park, you can obviously split the last day into 2 and do half of it on the one day that you're traveling and half of it on the other. Or if you are going for 3 days and you are only going to have 1 full day in the park, you can condense it down to do the things that you think you would like doing the most. But personally, if you want my advice and you haven't booked your trip yet, go for 5 days, travel on the first and last day, and you will get everything done. Like I can say that pretty confidently. But yeah, it might have been a little bit rambly and a little bit confusing at times, but this is the best way I can give you a rough plan of how to do everything. If you want more specific details on specific things, like dining or meeting characters or how to budget or booking in general, which attractions are the best if you're only going for a couple of days and you want to do all the best stuff, what to wear, what time of year to go. If you have any questions or you want me to do any more videos that are maybe a little bit more specific and less broad, then feel free to leave suggestions in the comments because I would love to do more Disneyland Paris videos. I just want to know what you guys really want. And if I get enough questions about the park in the comments, I might do a Q&A maybe where I can go into a bit more detail about your questions. So finally, that is everything. So I really hope you enjoyed watching. Give this video a thumbs up if you did and subscribe if you are new. I will definitely be doing some more Disneyland Paris associated videos in the future, whatever you guys would like. Follow me on Twitter and I will do some polls of what kind of videos you guys would like to see in terms of Disneyland Paris planning, and follow me on Instagram if you'd like to see some pretty pictures of my trips to Disney. But yeah, thank you so much for watching and I will be back very soon with another video. Bye!